Shalom, shalom, everyone. This is Brother D, and I'm here with some family here from the fellowship. We got Josiah, Sean, Julie, Brian, Jeff, Sakaya, Susan, and Isa. And my wife's in the background doing Shabbat prepping, so she'll be in and out. I'll try to have the volume up as much as I can without killing myself. We have a special presentation today from one of the brothers that's within our community. His name's Josiah, and he has just recently came upon a revelation that the Shabbat is on Thursday, not on Wednesday night to Thursday night, not on Saturday. And this is, you know, a debate for sure. And so I wanted to give him time. It's been a few weeks that he's been confirming some of this stuff, and I wanted to give him time to do all that and get all his notes together and present it to the group so we can all reason together with scripture. So that's going to be today's goal. I'm going to let Josiah do his thing, and whenever he's ready, we will jump in with our questions, comments. So hopefully we can take notes, those of us who have pads and pens, and get ready to engage. So Josiah, with that being said, brother, the mic is all yours.
Thank you, Brother D. First off, I want to start with the common sense aspect of it all. We have 364 days per year. Okay, our Gregorian calendars everywhere got that all screwed up, everybody knows. But what's the cycle? Well, it's 91 times 4 equals 364 days per year. Well, how does that equal out to 52 Shabbats a year without being one less or one more Shabbat yearly, like it would be if you had the 30 days a year? So here is my calendar. I wonder if you guys can see it. Hold on, let me see if I can. Can you guys see that? It's pretty small. Can I get a answer if everybody can hear that, see that?
Nah, it's pretty small. All right, Josiah, go ahead. So we're not going to be able to make the calendar like you have it, so you're just going to have to explain it. So go ahead.
So imagine 7 days being a week. You got 7 boxes, and you have columns that equal up to 91 days, because 91 days is how many days are in one quarter. So at that particular time, it's a 91-day cycle that consists of the sun, moon, and stars that rotates 4 different times for 4 different seasons. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, anyway, moving on. So, in the first week, now we're talking about the very first week of the world, in the beginning. Genesis 1:14 says that, sure, there was light and day 1, light and day 2, light and day 3, but then day 4 starts our clock. Now, I can prove this by scripture, but we have to go to Exodus. But hold on, I want to explain. There's 2 different laws that the moon possess that we know that it's order. And that is, when the new light hits the moon, that is the new day of the month. Okay? Now, this does not intervene with this 7-day cycle. The 7-day cycle is all year round, and it's continually, and it's consistent to where every month is the same, and no feast day land on Shabbat days. Okay? And I can prove that as well with the scripture too. So we have the first month of Abib, which if you line up my calendar with the new moon being present on the 17th day of March. Now, this is something that I did not witness personally. However, I did witness the full moon on the 14th day of the month based off the 17th day of March, because it came in on the 31st of March this year, the evening of April 1st, if you will. So that was the full moon marking the Passover of Abib. Now, when Yahuwah gave the children of Israel Passover, he has not yet given them the Shabbat day. Okay? So it don't even, they get confused on the 4 days in the first month. That confuses a lot of people. Or the 4 days in the first week of the first month. Because it's 4 days in the first week of the first month before the Shabbat day. Okay, moving along, because you can prove this if you go to Exodus chapter 16, verses 1 through 4. Chapter 16, verses 1 through 17. And what you find here, as soon as I find it in my book here, is that the children of Israel ended up in the land of Elam, I believe, on the 15th day of the second month. Well, that day was the day that they complained against Yahuwah. Had they known that that was his Shabbat day, they might not have, but they was. And he said, by the evening, you shall know that I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. So see, he didn't feed them the days while they were complaining. He let it go to the next day because it was his Shabbat. And on the 15th day, the evening of the 15th day, which is the beginning of the 16th day, which is the first day of the week, Yahuwah commanded his people to eat manna bread and gather it for 6 days. And he said, on the 6th day, gather double, because the next day is my Shabbat day. I think he was trying to say, quit your complaining. But it's right there. And the only way that could ever line up with any calendar is if you start your count from the first of the year on the 4th day. Any questions? Do I need to elaborate on anything else?
Yes. So does anybody want to jump in with any questions before I speak? I'd like for everyone else to get a chance to speak. Jeff, I see your hand. And hold on. There you go.
Okay.
You're unmuted. You're good now.
Okay, so because I don't have, you'll have to forgive me because I don't have the calendar right in front of me, but you say it lines up, so it basically proves it. I'm gonna have to trust you there, but what does it say What does Scripture say about the day that he was quiet and didn't respond to their grumblings? Did it absolutely say that that day was a Sabbath, or is that a conclusion that we've come to based on what we know about Scripture?
Well, yeah,
Does it
you
actually
have to
say that that
understand,
day was a Sabbath?
Yahuwah would not have sent his children, if he's teaching them about his Sabbath on that particular day, he would not have sent them to gather bread for 6 following days. So you have to understand and know that it was the 7th day. Because since it says it very clear, the 15th day is when they was doing this. They grumbled, and he said, in the evening, you shall know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Okay, and started allowing them to gather for 6 days and double on the 6th. And he said, and if you continue on, I believe, to what was that verse? Was it all the way to 27?
Yeah, Josiah, I was just gonna say, man, you got to
we'd
give
have
us.
to presuppose.
You got to give us chapter and verse to
Sorry,
help
go
us track with you, Josiah. So it help us.
Well, I'm at Exodus chapter 16, verses 1 through 27. Like, you got to read the whole thing. You keep reading, get the whole understanding. Read 16.
Right, I know that, but like you're saying 15th. Like, if is there a way you can pinpoint a verse so we can track exactly what you're pinpointing? Because we don't have time to read. We don't have time to read 20 verses while listening to you at the same time.
Read verse 1. It says, and they departed from Elam, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elam and Zanan, on the 15th day of the 2nd month, after their going out of the land of Mitzrayim. And the congregation of Israel grumbled against Moshe and Aaron in the wilderness, and the children of Israel said to them, if only we had died. You know, everybody knows the story there. Then you go on up here, skip up here to where he said, and Yahuwah said to Moses, which is 16 verse 4, and Yahuwah said to Moses, see, I am raining bread from the Shemayim for you, and all the people go out and gather a portion every day. Okay, he's saying that. And then you go down to verse 6, and it says, Moshe and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, this is what he was telling them, at evening, which they're here on the 15th day. Now, at evening, which we know is the 16th day, 16th evening, going on into the 16th day, which is the first day of the week. Otherwise, Yahuwah would not have sent his children to gather manna bread. And the only way it lines up with that truth is it start.
Let's go back to Jeff to continue engaging, because I think the question was, do we just trust you that it's the Sabbath, or is there a way that you can better show us that it's a Sabbath? Because the word Sabbath doesn't show up in this chapter. Obviously, just like you said before, because Yahuwah didn't give him the Sabbath yet. But I want to let Jeff continue to engage with you.
Okay.
So you can go back and forth with him.
I think there's a way. I think there's a way to prove it. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but maybe you can do it. There is a way that we can double check it, because we all know what day it was on the 14th day a month prior to that, right? We just had this discussion about Passover. So based on what day it was, day of Abib, we'd be able to count 30 days forward, land on the 15th, and understand what day it is. Do that, because I think you'd be able to double check it that way. Does that make sense? Am I saying it clearly?
No, you're looking for the 15th of the 2nd
day. Correct. Based on what day we know it is on the 14th day of Abib, when we knew what day the 14th day was. We knew what day the 15th day was because he was put to rest by Sabbath. So we should be able to count 30 days from that going forward and land on a day on your calendar, and it should tell us what day it is.
It's Shabbat.
Just except when you count forward, call it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Call it the day of the week as you go forward, so that way we know what day on our calendar it lands on. Does that make sense?
All right. Yep. Hold on. 1 second. I gotta write that down there because I did not write that, but I do know the order of it.
All right, and let me just jump in real quick to bounce off of what Jeff is saying. I think it's an assumption to think, because here's the debate. Josiah has a calendar that he believes is consistent. The days of the week, the months, and the days of the week are going to land on the same day of the week. Whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it will be the same day every year. The feast will land on the same days every year. So I don't think we can do that using Jeff's idea, because according to the calendar we go by, which is the moon, the days change year by year. Your feast might be on a Tuesday one year, your feast might be on a Wednesday, and this is the battle. This is Josiah's sharing why his calendar is better. He's got consistency, and you know, I heard him say, you know, the feast never land on a Shabbat. But I don't. One of the questions I would have is there any scripture that says a feast can't land on a Shabbat day?
I need to correct you, that it does change every year, just one day every year as far as the Shabbat, because isn't there 365 days in a Gregorian calendar?
Okay, so according to our calendar that we go by, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? So you're saying that the Hebrew calendar will change on the day of the week according to the Gregorian calendar, even though the days of the week doesn't change on the Gregorian calendar.
Because they're 365 total, correct?
But I'm saying Sunday to Saturday doesn't change. Like there's never a skipping a day of the week on the Gregorian calendar. Wouldn't you agree?
Right, because it's a 7-day cycle. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Correct. All right, cool. So you're tracking with me. So I'm a little confused when you say the days do change year by year.
Like
explain that.
For example, the end of the year is the end of the year, and the start of the year is at the start of the year. And the start of the year always starts in the middle of the week. Hence is why we have 52 Shabbats instead of 53. Okay? So, that being said,
all right, hold on. We got another question from Jeff. Go ahead.
Was the 14th day of Abib a Friday? Which, right? Wasn't it a Friday? And because that was supposed to be their Passover, and it was the day before their Sabbath, right?
I will answer that. I will answer unbiasedly and say that that's a debate that goes on. We were just recently discussing this Passover, right? We got some people that believe Messiah died on Wednesday. Some people believe he died on a Thursday. Some people believe he died on a Friday. Some people believe he resurrected on Sunday. Some people believe he resurrected on Shabbat. These are all debates, you know what I mean? And with our calendar, the Last Supper, the crucifixion of Messiah, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the same days of the week in Exodus chapter 12.
Right. No, I know. I'm just getting at a 30-day cycle, though. Okay. I'm only placing it on a blank 30-day template, period.
Right. Gotcha. Right? Yeah.
So the blank 30-day template on the 14th of Abib, because we know what that day was, or we at least have an idea, right, of what day it was. And then counting forward on that blank template with the next day being Sabbath, which was definitely, we believe it's Saturday point. Counting forward the next day, the 17th would be Sunday, so forth until you hit 15th of the second month, tell you what day it is. If we're right about what day we're starting on, if we're right that the 14th of Abib is a Friday, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever, just think that'd be a way to double check it because we can secure those dates through Scripture and then count forward. You know what I mean?
I think the only way to double check that is, and I haven't done this, is to look for the nearest Sabbath day, and that would be after Moshe gives the Sabbath commandment, because that would be our only way to know what day of the week Exodus 12 took place on. I'm gonna say that again, just to be clear. According to Exodus 12, we don't know if it was the first day, second day, third day, fourth day of the week. All it gives us is on the 10th day, do this. On the 14th day, kill the lamb. On the 15th, on the 14th that evening, eat the lamb. 15th to the 21st, unleavened bread. We're given these numbers of the month, but we're not giving what day of the week it is. So the only way for us to know what day of the week it is, we have to go to the nearest or the closest future passage that will show us what day of the week it is, and hopefully track our way backwards by years and months and saying a month later or 2 years later. And we got to go through people's age and genealogies and work our way backwards. But according to Josiah, if I'm not mistaken, I thought this is what he was saying in the beginning when I first talked to him, unless he's changing his mind. I thought that every year the days are all the same, but it seems like I just heard him say that it could change year by year off by a day. And I just want to go back to that, Josiah, when you get a chance. But Sean, Julie, and Brian do have a question. I do want to let them jump in real quick.
So my question is, you said that the Sabbath would never fall on a festival day, but there are some festivals that are 7 to 8 days long.
I was misquoted. What I meant to say is because the new moon falls on a Sabbath on the second month. So basically, what I want everybody to do, so you can understand how this works, is draw them up go ahead and draw you up a calendar and make sure it has 94 boxes in it. In the first week, go ahead and X out the first 3 boxes. On that fourth box, put you a new moon and a sun on the other side of that box. Then you count as in, this is one day of the month, but it's also the 4th day of the week. Okay? Because you have to go 4, 5, 6, 7 to find your Shabbat day there. Now, that lines up perfectly with the scripture that I just showed you, Exodus 12, or Exodus 16, 1 through 27. And it goes on to, that is 20 verse 25 is actually the first time Yahuwah gave us the Sabbath. You see what I'm saying? He didn't give it to us before then. And I challenge anybody to find a scripture where Adam or Eve celebrated Shabbat. Anybody before this particular time celebrated the Shabbat. I believe only the heavens celebrated it. Only the ones in the keepers of only the Shemaims. This is the first time he gave us the Shabbat, and he laid it out according to the first day of the week being as the 15th day of the month, or the 16th day of the month, the evening of the 15th. So the 15th in the second month of this 3-month cycle, because it's a 3-month cycle. All you have to do is draw the 91 days, and then it repeats itself mathematically, and it plays into each other like a complete perfect circle that rotates year in and year out. And the first day of the month or the year, he tells us in Abib, or tells us in Exodus 12:2 that day. But then I cross-reference the book of Hanok, if anybody has it, 78 verses 32, and it shows you the end of the year and how you reach 365 days. And how do you do that? Well, there's a point in time where the day is 9 parts and the night is equal to 9 parts. And that is the first day, and then after, it describes it in the book of Hanach as the day where the light starts to grow upon the season, basically. And so we know it's talking about the spring equinox. You see what I'm saying? Being the last day of the year. And that following new moon, which that's Enoch verses 72 verse 32 for the last day of the year. And it also, before all that, it teaches you about the cycle, 30, 30, 31. Although in the book of Hanach, they describe it to you backwards. Jubilees clears it up for you.
My wife's got some questions. Is she able to ask it now, or should we wait?
I just wanted to get the other scripture as far as the Hanach. There's
Okay.
2 scriptures.
Can you go over that real quick? Because I was distracted with trying to control this. But Enoch 72 verse 32. What was the one before that? Oh, what is Enoch 72 verse 32 regarding? Just a real quick phrase.
Okay, so you gotta read the whole chapter. Okay.
Sure.
Don't take my word for it, but 32 specifies the very last day of the year.
Okay.
Adding to 364 days a year.
Okay.
And we go to Jubilees and tell us that if we do not follow this 364 day a year law, that we will be led astray.
Okay. And what was the scripture you did before Enoch 72 verse 32? I think it had to do with
Exodus,
the moon. Yeah, I got that one. I got Exodus 16. I feel like there was
okay. I was at Ecclesiasticus 43. I think I left my book. No, I didn't. Here it is. Ecclesiasticus 43:6. Does anybody have that?
No, you'll have to read, or maybe my wife has it. No, she's in Jubilees right now. Do you have it with you, Messiah?
Jubilees chapter 1 verse 15. Jubilees 2 9 through 12.
Yeah, can you read these? Can you read these, Josiah, so that we're more informed while you're explaining? Make it make sense to us, man. Bring it together.
Trying to bring it together.
Don't be nervous. Don't be shy. It's just helpful when like as you're quoting passages, it's hard. I know for me, I don't know about anybody else. My wife could probably multitask better than I can, but I can't multitask. I can't read it. I can't be flipping through passages while you're going through it and summarizing what you believe it says, and then me having to read it to figure out what it's saying for me. Like, I need you to read it, quote it, and then explain what you believe it's saying.
Well, I was trying to summarize so everybody could read it themselves so they don't lean on understanding, but yeah, it's okay.
I understand.
And I'm because Yahuwah doesn't want me to be pushy about this at all. You know, it's very whatever, I don't know.
Right
but,
on.
This is what I mean, there's just so much.
All right, go ahead and spit off the verses you got. So we got Enoch 72:32, Ecclesiasticus 43 verse 6.
Right.
Jubilee.
Enoch 70 verses 10 through 11. Exodus 12:2 starts it. Leviticus 23 that confirms the Pesach. But Enoch 72:32, I said that right?
Yeah.
And Enoch 78, 10 through 12. That's Enoch. Then we go to Jubilees to confirm Enoch and Ecclesiasticus. And it seems like the confirmation that I get in the Torah is like certain time dates, like Samuel. Hold on, it's First Samuel, the story of Johanan and King David, their little 3-day meeting where there was the new
All right,
moon.
we're getting a request to repeat the passages again because you're going kind of fast. So I'm gonna go through some that I got, Josiah. You let me know what I'm missing. Okay.
Okay.
We started with Exodus chapter 16. Read the whole chapter. Okay. I think
Right.
it has to do with the 15th, but again, that's not going to be clear unless we get all these other passages.
That's not going to be clear unless you draw out the calendar.
Okay.
You have to draw 91 days out so you can see it visually.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to confuse you every time.
Okay. So that's why I think it's best to go by the Enoch and what you got from the Enochs and the Ecclesiasticus and the Jubilees and all that first, so that we can see where you're coming from. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go through the passages for Shauna real quick. Let me know what I'm missing. Enoch, in the book of Enoch, we have chapter 70, verses 10 to 11, and chapter 72. Verses 32, but he says read the whole chapter. So the whole chapter has a lot to do with this. Chapter 78 of Enoch, verses 10 to 12. Okay, that's all I got from Enoch from you so far. Am I missing anything, Josiah?
I don't believe so.
All right, so from Ecclesiasticus. So Ecclesiasticus, that's another book. It's not Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiasticus is chapter 43, verse 6
through 8.
Okay, 6 through 8. Thank you. Was there anything else in Ecclesiasticus?
No, but cross-reference the Ecclesiasticus, you go to Psalms 104, verse 19.
Psalms 104, 19. Okay. Next, I got Jubilees. I had chapter 1, but you never said a verse. I didn't hear you say a verse.
I got so much from Jubilees. That's the problem.
All right. Well,
43, 423, 7, 2.
All right. Let's take a break with this real quick. My wife wants to ask a question because she's doing prepping for Shabbat. She definitely wants to ask you some questions real quick, just to
Go ahead.
But we'll go back to the passages because I do want these because I want to read these for myself as well. So
yeah.
Alrighty. So when you're saying that there's 364 days and it's 91 per quarter, you're getting that specifically from Enoch, not from any other scriptures, correct?
From the book of Jubilees as well confirms that if we do not follow the 364 days, we'll be led astray. And
so Jubilees and Enoch together.
There's got to be somewhere else where it says 364 days a year.
That's fine, but it's from the extra biblical. I just want to see where your starting point is. Then you noted, I was kind of confused when you said you started on the four. Yeah, it's so much time passed. I'm trying to capture what you said. You noted you count on the fourth day as the first day. You don't do the first 3 days. Can you go through that portion again? Do you recall what I mentioned?
Yeah, if you lay out the calendar, like I said, 91 boxes on rows of 7, and the first 3 days are at the end of the 3 months, completing a full circle, making the years go round and round and round and round, equaling 52 2 Shabbats.
What do you mean the first 3 days are the end of the cycle? I'm not following. What day
Basically,
would they? Is that the start of your year? Is that the end of the year? I think it's the antiquary, which is
the first week is split in half.
okay. The first week is split in half. So let's say today.
First week,
For argument's sake, let's say today, for argument's sake, today is Wednesday night. Just for argument's sake, to get on your schedule. Okay. You're saying, and this is the beginning of the year. I'm just hypothetically, right? So today would not be the first day of the year. It will have to be 3 days ago, so that the fourth day has to land in the middle on a Wednesday.
no, it's not on a Wednesday. It's on a new moon.
Okay.
Doesn't matter about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's all brainwash.
Okay. So
The
hold on.
new moon
Mhm.
after 9 parts day, 9 parts night, which if you read Hanok, you'll see that 9 parts day, 9 parts night equals the end of the year. 364 days, which all the sun, moon, and stars complete its work. Then following that day is the new moon.
Okay.
So at the end of the 364 days is right when everything goes down to 9 parts, 9 parts. It's at the end of it. And the start is the new light when the moon transpires its light from the sun. And it grows. So
Okay.
that would be the spring equinox. And so that day this year was on Sunday night or Saturday night, I believe. Saturday evening, Sunday day. Okay? That was the first day
hold
of
on.
the year.
Let me make sure I'm following, because I'm really not following.
That
So
was the first
the
day of
new
the
moon.
year.
So to you, the new moon starts the new year. Correct. Yes or no? A new moon always would start a new year.
A new year and a new month.
And
Starts a new month.
Okay. But does it also start a new year? A new moon would also correlate with a new year beginning.
Yes.
Okay. From that new moon, the beginning, the first new moon that you see, whether it's crescent, whatever it is, but from the first new moon, that's day 1 to you?
It's after the spring equinox.
Okay. So is the new moon day 1 or not day 1? Because I'm hearing spring equinox after. Is the new moon day 1 or not day 1?
How are you getting this confused? Calm down. Listen. The new moon is the first day of the month. Really? Let me slow it down and say it one more time.
I was just summarizing real quick. I think you were clear. You're repeating yourself, but you're saying the new moon after the spring equinox is the first day of the new year.
Correct.
Just that simple. And
the
last day of the year would be the spring equinox. That would be your 364. Thank you. Thumbs up.
And that falls in the middle of the week, equaling 52 Shabbats a year. You understand? So at the end of the year,
Where are you getting that it falls in the middle of the week? In the middle of the week, you're
okay.
saying Wednesday, right? Is Wednesday, right? So you're saying that
remember the weekly cycle does not matter if a new moon hits or not. It stays stern, right? The weekly cycle is stern. And this is why it's stern, because the first time it started in the middle of the week, and it stays in the middle of the week. I'm talking about 1 through 7 days, not Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, because we don't know what that is. That's been jumbled and mixed up. But I'm saying, Brother D, you had it. 364 equals equinox. The new moon, right after the equinox, It's first day of the year, but it's also day 4 of creation, because 91 times 4 leaves you 3 days that complete that end week, equaling 52 Shabbats a year. That's it. Everything perfect. Nothing causes division. Nothing lands on anything that's already been Kadeshed somewhere else.
So then what you're noting is that the new moon every year has to stay on the same day. Correct? It has to fall on the same day, the same midweek day. Whatever we call it, it has to always fall on the same day to stay continuous, correct?
The new moon?
Yes. After the spring equinox.
Well, I can't compare that with the Roman Greco calendar, but 1 through 7, yes.
You can, because okay, if day 1, you can.
Well, I don't know how many days the Roman Greco calendar has.
It doesn't matter. We're talking about weeks. We're talking about 7-day cycle. Forget about February 29th versus February 20. Forget about the months and stuff. We're talking about a 7-day cycle. We all know from American standards, whatever, is Sunday to Saturday. Yours would be whatever it is. I'm just saying hypothetical. So day 1 to day 7. So regardless what we call those days, are you saying that the new moon every year, that's after the spring equinox, will always land on, let's say, the 4th day, which is going to correlate or correspond to, okay, so that means it has to land on the same day of the week. So that means
which is why,
okay, so then my next question
is I'm bringing it to the group now instead of on the 3rd month, because it gives us all an opportunity to test this theory. So this being said, the next full moon in the sky will be on I believe April 30th.
Okay. So that means that if there's 1 year that the new moon after spring equinox is a day behind, that this calendar would not fit, correct?
Say that one more time.
So that means if there's 1 year where the new moon after the spring equinox falls a day behind, not on the 4th day, but on the 5th day, that this calendar would not be correct. If we ever see a new moon not fall on the same exact day, that means this calendar would not be correct, right?
You're saying that, I don't know, I think you're trying to confuse me.
No, I'm not trying to confuse you. What I'm asking.
Listen, there's 31, 30, 30, and it lines up to the moon, being the new moon.
Hold on, Josiah. Hold on, Josiah. Hold on. Time out. You gotta engage. She's not trying to confuse you. She's asking you a really good question that requires a good answer. And just listen to her question again.
Try to rephrase it. Okay, if the new moon after the spring equinox, so the first new moon of a new year, if that ever lands on a different day other than the 4th day, that means this calendar is incorrect. That is a question. So, like, if I'm going to test this out, and this year, the new moon of a new year started on a Wednesday, but I find next year that the new moon after spring equinox starts on a Thursday, that means that this entire calendar is incorrect. That's what I'm trying to test.
No.
Why not?
It means that they put 365 days in their Roman Greco calendar.
No. See, no. Regardless of the 365 and a quarter, I'm saying week by week by week, we literally can count 364 days on our own. And if I see that this year, like, okay, let me ask you this way. Do you believe that Sunday to Saturday on the American standards stays the same week by week every year? Like, no man says we're going to go from Sunday to Tuesday because we need to add a 4th day in the year.
But look, you got from that calendar, you have January that has how many days in the month? 30?
Okay, I think you're confusing, but he's not understanding where I'm coming from. You're confusing me talking about months and 30 and 29 and 30, 30, 31, and 29. But I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is everyone can.
But check it out. End of the year, if December 1st is on a, or December 31st or whatever is on a Friday, and then January 31st starts on, or January 1st starts on a Monday.
No, it was
Friday.
no. No, see, nobody does that. You said if, I'm sorry to cut you off, but you said if December 31st ends on a Friday, January 1st begins on a Monday. Nobody does that. No, nobody does that. January 1st begins on a Saturday. Gregorian continues their dates. I'm not talking about their dates. Yes, yeah, I'm talking about the days of the week.
Okay, you're just talking about the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Exactly. I'm not.
Right.
Forget about the months. So
But that's 7 days, no matter what.
Exactly. Stand still, 7 days.
So then I didn't go that far into the year, so I didn't know if it changed based on the 30, 30, 31, because the days of the year, according to my calendar, are going to be 31, 30, 30.
Okay, but then my question still remains, now that we're on the same page. If the new moon of your new year does not begin on the same day it did last year, you said this year was on a Sunday. If next year we find the new moon after equinox starts on a Monday, would that not dismiss this calendar? Hypothetically.
Yeah. It depends on if the cycle is going to play out. It's inevitable. I don't think it's going. I don't believe it's going to happen. Okay.
I know that the question wasn't if you believe it's going to happen. The question is hypothetically if it does. Like, are you honest enough to say that this type of calendar is not credible? It was just a yes or no question.
Okay, then no, because I'm on a totally different level with this right now.
Okay, fine. All right, fine. My question to you would be, and we got 3 people up there. I'm gonna let you guys go right after me. I've been holding on to this question. Josiah, you say that the end of the year is the spring equinox. That's your 364, but your new moon is the first day of the year, right?
First day of the month.
How many days does it take from the spring equinox to get to the new moon?
How many days?
How many days did it take this year to go from the spring equinox to the new moon?
13.
So you have to add 13 to your 364, do you not?
No.
Why not?
Because it's the end of the year.
So those 13 days don't exist.
Yeah, it's just the end. It's the countdown of the 9 parts, 9 parts. It goes down, and then it goes back up after the new moon.
Can you give us some scripture to support why you would not count the gap in between the spring equinox and the new moon? Can you give us some scripture to support why we wouldn't count those days in the year? Yes.
I'm not telling you don't count them.
Oh, so again, I'm gonna ask the question again then, because the spring equinox. Hold on. We need clarity here because I believe I heard what you said. You said you don't count it, but I'm gonna ask you again just for clarity and for the audience. You said that the spring equinox is the last day of the year. That is your 364th day. Is that correct?
Right.
And this year it took 13 days after the spring equinox to see the new moon, which would be the first day of the year.
No, the end of the spring equinox was the end, the night before the new moon. That's the end of the spring equinox.
You just told me it took 13 days to get to the new moon after the spring equinox. Which one is it?
I don't know. That's all hearsay, really. I don't know.
Okay. Do you think Do you think the new moon was right after the spring equinox, the day after?
Yeah.
This year?
Yeah. Yes.
It was. Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna let somebody else go to their question. I'm gonna verify that real quick. Let's see who's next. Who was first? Okay, I'm going with what my wife says. Sean, Julie, and then Jeff, and then Justine. All right, let you guys go first.
Okay, so I might be a little bit ignorant on everything you're talking about. However, in Colossians 2:16, it says, "Let no one judge you in eating or in drinking, or in a respect of a festival or a new moon or Sabbaths." And also in Titus 3:9, there's also, "But keep away from foolish questions and genealogies and strife and quarrels about the Torah, for they are unprofitable and useless." So as I'm sitting here listening to all this debating about when the Sabbath is, when the new moons are, so on and so forth, I'm thinking about what Yahuwah says pure religion is. He says that we're supposed to visit the widows and the orphans, and I feel like this is just a waste of time, because we're just sitting here arguing about a supposed time of a new moon.
That Shabbat day will result in prosperity. The portals of prosperity will open up.
Yeah, we're not saying not to have a Shabbat.
Right.
We're saying not to argue about
what day it is.
But we're not arguing here. This is just, you guys can do Saturday. I'm bringing this to the table, but I'm loving my life right now. And,
all right, let me intervene.
I encourage you to pray about it and seek the Ruach. Seek the Ruach's answer on this, because
Josiah, let me intervene real quick. Let me intervene because you don't have to give an explanation for this. So Sean, Julie, and Brian, we're simply having a discussion on this. That's you guys know, that's what our fellowship is about. We have a whole lot of discussions on a lot of things. And the reason why we're having this debate, I'll call it a debate. I ain't gonna lie. It's the debate. We're contending for the faith. We're trying to reason with one another because this is something that causes division. It causes people to break fellowship with one another. The scriptures talks about gathering together on the seventh day of the week. That is a holy convocation. That is a time to gather together and be a family. If you have somebody claiming that another day is the Sabbath, now you split up that important gathering, and people got to gather on another day. Or some people don't see the importance of gathering on that day that everybody's unified over. So this is a really important topic. A lot of people are splitting fellowships over this kind of topic here. Or at least some people are starting to devalue the seventh-day Shabbat. So it's very important. And we're not saying that, we should go out and do work. I know I am. Me and my wife went out and preached on Sunday, but, and there's more that we got to do. But I never want to use that kind of argument while we're having discussions, because this group right here, devoted to Yah Fellowship, we're going to continue to have debates, discussions. As long as I'm alive, I would definitely be hosting more. So just be patient, hear this out, and again, you don't have to stay for the whole thing. If you want to listen to the recording later, if you don't want to listen to it at all, it's not on your heart, that's all good. You know what I mean? It's not on your heart. It's not something of interest. I was at that point where I was turning off everybody that came to me with this whole calendar thing. I haven't given anyone the time of day. Matter of fact, I've never given anybody the time of day to explain this type of calendar to me. I'm only doing it to Josiah because he's my brother and I love him and I actually have a friendship and a relationship with him. So I'm giving him a chance to show this. But had it been anybody else, I've never done it before. I've unfriended people that try to come with me with this kind of stuff. So that's all it is. You know what I mean? If it's not on your heart right now, it's not on your heart. But if it's something that you want to learn about, or at least learn how to disprove, if that's something of interest, then this conversation is good for you. This is going to be helpful because you're going to come across these people that want to come with this. And it's not sufficient to say, guys, we shouldn't talk about this because there's other things we could be doing. The best thing to do is to actually give an answer and say, look, this is why you're wrong. So that's what we're trying to do today, is try to reason with one another. We're asking questions. We're trying to engage. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I appreciate you guys sharing your heart, and you guys are allowed to do that here. You know that. But I just want to let you know I welcome this today, and I'm definitely happy to be having this conversation. Who's next? Jeff.
Yeah, I was just, before I raised my hand, I was just looking at the calendar again to find out which the equinox was.
Hold on.
Okay, my question is, you said that this year the spring equinox fell on a Saturday night, correct? Oh wait, he's muted. Sorry.
I believe so.
Okay. Which means the first day of the
Either
year.
Saturday or Sunday.
What happened?
It was either Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
I believe it was Saturday evening though.
Okay, Saturday.
Okay. Because what I got is Sunday, I think the 18th. It was the 17th and 18th. The evening of the 17th and the day of the 18th.
Okay. So I'm just going to say Sunday for argument's sake. Do you believe that the first day of the year is the first day of the week of Yahuwah? Like you would start counting day 1 and then 7 days from there is a Sabbath, or no?
No, I believe that the Exodus chapter 16 starts the clock on Shabbat. I believe the Genesis 1:14 starts the clock on the sun and the moon and how to keep the weekly Shabbat. But if you don't want to look at that, you look at Exodus 16 to line up the days that he gave us manna bread, and then finally gave us the Shabbat. So that was the first time that he ever gave the children of Israel the Shabbat day, even though he made everything in 6 days and Kodesh the Shabbat day on the Shabbat day.
So quick question. What day do you believe that was? Like in our wording of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what day do you believe that was that Sabbath fell on?
This year it fell on Wednesday night.
Okay, so you said
Thursday day.
But not this year. Back then, would you say it was a Wednesday then? Back then too?
I don't know, because I heard they switched all their days around and whatnot. But yeah, if they have 364 days equaling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, no matter what, then yes, it's all going to add up to be the same.
Okay. So right now in this season, your Sabbath is Wednesday night to Thursday, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So regardless of when the equinox is, regardless of when the new moon is, it will always forever be Wednesday to Thursday, correct?
This entire year, yes, it should be.
Not this year, forevermore, not just this year, forevermore. Next year, following year, 10 years from now.
Yeah, it has to be. Unless Donald Trump says the end of Wednesday we're gonna add a day. We're gonna call it Trump Day. But yeah, outside of that, it should be Wednesday. It will be Wednesday. Forgive me. It will be Wednesday because it's going to go off the moon. We're going to see a new moon in 3 cycles. There's 3 cycles. So the moon is going to show us a new light in a quarter. A quarter is 3 months. So we're going to see that new moon 3 times in that quarter. We're going to see it on the first. We're going to see it on the second month, and we're going to see it on which this year it was the 17th, 18th of March, the 18th, 19th of what is that, April? And then we still have yet to see the day 1 or the next new moon. which is going to be day 1 of the 3rd month. And that 3rd month is going to have 30 days before we see the next new moon.
Okay. So let me.
And that 4th is going to have 31 days.
30,
And it's going to
31,
repeat the cycle.
31. Gotcha for the 91. So
And
sorry, yes, yeah, I got a question. Sorry. Where are you getting the, I guess what I'm confused is why you chose Wednesday night to Thursday night. That's where I'm getting confused that that's the 7th day.
okay, because again, the new moon after the spring equinox is the 4th day of creation. Also, it is first day of the month. You can say it's the 4th day of creation, or you can say it is the middle of the last week, which is also the beginning of the first week. That makes sense?
Okay.
So 3 days
All right, got it.
of the week that the spring equinox hits, 3 of those days are going to be the last 3 days of the year. Then we're going to have a new moon. Then we're going to have 4 days till Shabbat.
She got it. She got it now. All right. She's gonna chew on that. I'm gonna let Jeff get back in because he's back in on the phone. Go ahead, brother Jeff.
Can you hear me? Am I here?
Oh yeah, loud and clear.
All right, so I think there might have been some mixed up words. So is it 3? I like the 3-day thing from equinox to the new moon. So is there actually 3 days to the new moon, which starts the new month, or was there 13 days to the new moon, which started the new month? Because I think I've heard both so far. I think.
Well, at the end of that month, there's going to be 30 days between new moon and new moon. New moon being the 12th month of the year, new moon being the 1st month of the year, and somewhere in between there is going to be the spring equinox. And it should end up on the last day of the 30th, which meaning the next day, the new moon's going to show. We're going to have 31 days for the month of Abib.
But the equinox is the end, right? The equinox is the 364th, and then it starts all over after that. So we're not counting anything before the equinox, right? As starting the new year. We're waiting till after.
Yeah, we don't have to because it's the 12th month. It's the end of the 12th month. It's going to roll right into this next week being
right.
the first.
And does this format give us the 13th month occasionally, or is that a different format altogether?
This will never give you a 13th month.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess I just wanted to clear up whether it was the 3-day offset or a 13-day offset like we experienced this time. So it's only 3 days to the new moon from equinox, right?
It's a 3-day offset, but you're going to find that the end of the year covers those 3 days to equal 52 weeks a year.
Uh-huh. I have a feeling when this is in front of me on a calendar, it's just going to hit me and I'll see it. I think that's what it's going to take for me. And it's only my fault that I'm not able to see a calendar in front of me right now.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. And I'm going to share a screen in a few minutes right after Justine goes, but I'm going to share a screen to piggyback off of my questions for Josiah. So Justine, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
I had my question, but I think throughout everything, it's just kind of so.
I'm so sorry. I know.
It's okay, but there is one verse that I wanted to kind of bring up, which is like, I feel like important. It's Daniel 7, verse 25. And that speaks a lot about the end times and stuff. And it says, and it speaks words against, well, let me just back reference to 24. And the 10 horns and the 10 sovereigns from the rain, they shall rise, and another shall rise after them, and it is different from the first ones, and it humbles 3 sovereigns, and it speaks words against the Most High, and it wears out the set apart ones of the Most High, and it intends to change appointed times and law, and they are given into his hand for a time and times and half a time. And why I think that's important, is like that's why I think this whole topic is kind of important, because it like just kind of shines light on the fact that the enemy did try to change the seasons and the times And with the Gregorian calendar, before the Gregorian calendar, there was a whole different set of timekeeping and everything. They had a calendar that like had extra days. I don't know, it was confusing. But prior to that, they just used the sky and the moon and stuff like that. That's why I find it a little interesting. So I had a different question before I was going to put in that verse, but this is the only thing I can remember after all the back and forth. So, but anyways.
Right on. Well, thank you for trying and thank you for sharing. Absolutely. I think it's a very important topic. Again, it's not something to devalue for sure. The enemy, the anti-Messiah, you know, anything that's anti-Yahuwah is going to change times and seasons to confuse people. So this is definitely important. All right. I'm gonna go off of I'm gonna share why I don't believe this is really this is not consistent. Josiah, when, according to your calendar this year, when was the spring equinox this year on the Gregorian calendar? Oh, let me unmute you. March 17th. Okay, let's check it out. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'll give a few seconds. Make sure you guys can see this. If there's a way I can change this to the bottom, perfect. All right. So March 17th, he says, was the spring equinox. Google, which has technology, and I know we don't have to trust Google, but let's just play with this for a little bit. Google says it was Tuesday, March 20th, was the spring equinox. So that Google is off by 3 days with Josiah's calendar. All right, it is what it is. They're off for 3 days. The new moon. So let's look at the new moon cycles. And again, I'm using the internet. This is March 2018. He would say that the spring equinox was on March 17th, which was a Shabbat, and I'm supposing he was saying that night, so it's really a Sunday on a Hebraic calendar. So when the Saturday ended and Sunday began, which is at nighttime, somewhere between that time, unless he's talking about during the day, the afternoon, which would be the Shabbat for us, but not for him. But it was on the 17th. So this is where he saw it. This is where the internet is saying the spring equinox happened. Now, Josiah, when was the new moon after the spring equinox? What day of March?
The 18th.
It was the day right after. Okay.
It happened in the same night.
Okay. All right. So,
but it was the 17th evening, which was the 18th day.
Got you. No problem. So here this year, it was right smack dab real close to each other, okay? And again, that's considering that Google was off by about 3 or 4 days with the spring equinox, okay? There's a difference. There's a disagreement there. Now let's go to last year. No, for him there's no contradiction because my wife is asking, well, what does he have to say about that? I don't think there's going to be any contradiction here because your last day of the year is the spring equinox, is your 364, and day one, starting your new 364 count, is the very next day, which this is what happened. You got the spring equinox, very next day you see the new moon, correct? So there's no issue. You rolled right into the new year.
Exactly.
Hold on. I got my wife in my ear. Hold on. I got to stop my sharing recording. All right, hold on. My wife asked a question. How did you determine what is the spring equinox if you're disagreeing with the internet that it's not the 20th of March? How did you get the 17th of March, Josiah?
Because I've seen the full moon on the 14th day, which is a law according to Uriel, the Kodesh messenger.
Okay.
What scripture was that? What scripture was that? Because what scripture?
Enoch. It is Enoch and he's the one according to the
Now,
Book of Jubilee.
I'm not an astrologer by any means, but the last I remember, and Jadiel, I'm sure can give us some more information probably on this, but the way that you determine 9 parts day, 9 parts night is by actually seeing it happen. You don't just go by the moon. So when I asked you, how did you determine that the 17th was a spring equinox and not the 20th? You said new moon. Going by a new moon doesn't have anything to do with determining a spring equinox. I don't know if I'm wrong about that. It sounds right to me, but it makes sense in my mind because it has to do with 9 parts day and 9 parts night. So that has to do with recording how long you have day out and how long you have night.
Well, I remember the day distinctively because it was the day they set the clock back for daylight savings time, or set it forward for daylight savings time.
All right. Jadiel, do you have anything to say on that? He believes the spring equinox was on the, and I remember you have different equinoxes you talked about before, but how is it that he's saying the 17th was the equal day, equal night? But like when I look online, they say it was the 20th. Is he right? Is he in error? How do people determine this year what was equal day, equal night? Because I have a feeling you know.
From what I've studied and what I've heard other people when they determine March 17th as the equinox, they didn't say it was the equinox. They said it was the equilux. The word equilux means equal light, meaning that they had equal light during the day, and then the nighttime had the same time as there was light. So the only thing is, in March 17th is when the equilux started to begin on a certain phase of the earth. When the sun was shining, by the time the equinox comes, it's on the whole side of that earth. So wherever the sun is shining, you know, sometimes it's not the same time in all places until a certain point in time during the season. That's what's happening. The equilux is what begins the equal time dates, night and day. And that the equilux actually started on the 17th, where the light was 12 hours. But it wasn't 12 hours on the whole side of the sun until it completes its phase. The sun completes a circuit, and when it completes a circuit, it goes into the season of spring, which means that everywhere where the sun hits is going to have equal 12-hour days and 12-hour nights. It's kind of like it grows into the fullness of the 12 hours. I hope it's not confusing. So there's 2 things, equilux and equinox. The names is pointless because the Latin is both saying the same thing. Equinox means equal night. Equilux means equal light. Equilux is the beginning of the 12-hour period on the side where the sun shines. Everywhere on that side, it's not 12 hours. So by the time it hits the equinox, which is around March 20th to the 21st, that's when the whole phase of where the sun shines will have equal day and equal night. This is just from the research. This is just from the research that I've done as far as, you know, watching the time and things like that.
The equilux is the end of the year then. And
all right, thank you, Jadiel. So I guess what we should be looking for is equilux. Well, would it be fair to say that the equilux happens about 3 days before the equinox? Jadiel, according to your research?
According to my research, when it begins to be 12-hour day, it starts around the time of it says between the 16th and the 18th. And then by the time it hits the 20th to the 21st, the circuit is complete. And now we're into that season of.
All right. The reason why I asked, I'm trying to keep things simple. I'm trying to keep things very, very simple. Is there any chance that between the equilux and the equinox that you'll have, let's say, 7 days, a whole week, or 2 weeks?
Not usually.
Okay.
Not from the research that I've done. It was never like that. It was
it's usually a short amount of days, 2 to 3.
2 to 3 days, yeah.
Okay, cool. With that being said, I'm going to continue my presentation here. So I appreciate that. I'll flow with that as well. I'm going to share my screen again. Wait for it to pop up. I was looking up equilux. I couldn't find it. So I'm going to have to look for that a different way. But again, equinox, according to the internet, says Tuesday, March 20th. So let's say Josiah's on the money because he's not the only person that believes it was the equilux, and that's what he's looking for equal day, equal night. So it'll be the 17th of March. Okay. So again, no contradiction. He saw the new moon, the crescent, because that's how he goes by the new month. He goes by the first crescent. And that was the first day of the new year. There's no issues here. It rolled over right into the next year perfectly for him. But here's a problem that I'm finding. I looked up equinox in 2017, and it says it was on Monday, March 20th. And again, here's March 2017, the moon cycles. March 20th is a quarter of a moon cycle. We're like 3 quarters in. We have one more quarter left to go to the new moon. So again, the equilux, let's say 2 to 3 days off. 1, 2, 3. That gives us Friday the 17th. My question is, from the 17th, which would be the equilux, which would be the 364th day of the year, day is over. The next day is not a new moon. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, probably 12 to 13 days before you see the new crescent moon. So my question is, and I think this goes with, I don't know if it's as much as a question as it is a statement. There's no consistency with going by this kind of a calendar year by year, because you're going to have gaps in between the equilux and the new crescent moon, and you have to do something with those days. Either you add it to the day of the year or you don't count it at all. And I don't see how you say there's 364 days to a year, but somehow there's 12 days that are invisible and not counted. So go ahead. I'll let you respond.
My response to that is, don't believe everything you hear on the internet. I don't remember the 20th day last year, but until you witnessed it with your own eyes, and that's what this year is all about. If I was the Prince of Darkness and I wanted to throw you guys off every year, I would have somebody screwing it up. Trust and believe. So that's all I got to say on that. And that's why I brought this to the table now, because we have to prove it by the moon cycle. So that's what I'm throwing it out there. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but I feel real strong and led by the Spirit. So I'm going to roll with it, and I'm going to test each moon phase according to it. And so far, I'm in the second month. We are right on cue. So that being said, I look forward to seeing the third month being on cue, and the fourth, and so on and so forth, all the way till the next year, equinox, and so on and so forth. So I can test whether or not that is real or not, because I can't take that. That's another man. I can't take his word for it if I don't see it with my own eyes. And Yahuwah gave us the stars and the moon, so I got to be able to see it. I got to make sense of it. He's not the author of mixture and confusion. So that's why by the moon we can test it, but the moon only holds two laws, and that's the new moon and the 14th day being the full moon.
All right. No need to repeat yourself.
Go on.
It's time for me to get off. Does anybody here want to continue with him? I mean, can't continue the recording without me being present. So I'm going to end the recording here. But for my personal testimony, these moon phases have been consistent. I've been able to find the new moon. It's never been more than a week. Not even close to a week, finding a crescent moon. Not that I go by a crescent moon, but there were times where I was going by a crescent moon. But off by maybe 2 to 3 days. Other than that, I mean, I just showed you a 13-day gap. And I would highly doubt that the technology that's out there, that they're going to leave a 13-day gap. That's just my personal experience. Not only my personal just opinion, it's my experience with using the internet to find information like this. So there's science out there. Science does work. We don't have to just jump off buildings and believe we could fly. There is something that makes you go down. And if you don't have something to push you up, you won't go up. So I'm going to leave it with that. But not liking this calendar. I'm just letting you know I'm not liking it. I'm not seeing it. But you guys can test this. I'll have this recording up on YouTube, and I'm gonna pray about it and see if we are gonna have another discussion or if this will be it. So I'll be in prayer about that. But with that being said, shalom.